Okay, Scott, we're live.
Awesome. We were talking
We've
about
been
the
talking
weather.
for the weather. It's nobody's favorite around here, and
Oh, so
it
the weather's.
actually, I figured we'd had the worst of it, and actually, this is worse. This is it's
Oh, I
icier.
don't know. Do you think so?
Well, it didn't get as deep, but it's going to stay colder longer, and so
You think so? Yeah, I guess it might.
no,
Okay.
it already has. It's all day yesterday, right?
Yeah.
And today
All
and
day, and then
Friday
tomorrow
and
it'll.
Saturday. Saturday, it may start to move off a little bit. So that's
But we didn't
long.
get as much snow. I mean, I went to the office today.
Okay, cool.
You
Well,
know, and
I'm
I
going to
didn't
get
really.
out tomorrow, come hell or high water, and so there.
Well, what's funny is today was the first day that I really drove my car. So for listeners, I have a Subaru WRX, and it is four-wheel drive, but it's not made. It's made for traction. It's not made for four-wheel driving,
Hmm.
and it had summer tires on it last time it was cold and icy, and it really was all over the road. But so I got all weather tires. I need new tires, so I got all weather tires. It makes a lot of difference, and I drove it today probably more than I've ever driven it in this kind of weather, and I really didn't have any problems. I mean, obviously, if it's ice, you're not gonna be able to stop. But
Right.
it didn't get. Now it's not deep because the car doesn't sit high, so you're not going to take it in deep snow drifts. But it got me out of everything that I could possibly have wanted to get into, in terms of like ice at stop signs and stop lights and that sort of thing. And it has a traction control, which I didn't realize that. And my wife's car has it, and a lot of cars have it now, but I didn't know if my car had it because it's a manual. But
Hmm.
if you get on something that's slick and you're going and you're applying the gas and it won't go, it will throttle back. It recognizes when it's slipping. In fact, mine has a gauge on it that will tell you when the wheel slips, and it'll tell you which wheel it is even. So, which is kind of cool.
That is cool.
Um, but it still doesn't corner. When I go around a slushy corner, man, it wants to kick that rear end out. I got to counter steer. You got to stay on top of it. But it's fun. I mean, it's made to drive in bad weather, but it's not. It's made to drive fast and recklessly, not in cautious traffic.
Yeah, yeah.
It's, I mean, it's the car that Subaru's rally cars based off of. So
It is.
but anyway, but I
Yeah. Hey,
drove that. Do what?
well, I was. They said that they've salted a lot, but that the temperature dictates that the salt only starts working when it's
Yeah.
close to melting, and so it's supposedly it's not in the
It can
salt
it can
help
be
range.
it can be in the 20s and the salt will work,
Hmm.
but
Okay.
I don't know what the temperature is right now. It wasn't bad. The highways weren't bad. The worst spots were the roads that were not heavily traveled. Like my street's pretty bad, but even then, I mean, I was looking for a parking lot I could get around and do some donuts and stuff in, but I
Yeah,
couldn't
yeah.
find one. Just because I drove my
I used
car
to do
on this
that.
stuff. Yeah,
Yeah, I got
my car drives like a rear-wheel drive car and this stuff, except for it will go. It gets traction, you know.
hmm.
Anyway, so I have a couple things I want to talk about. I want to show
Okay, go
you.
ahead.
I don't know if we were at that point. So just for grins, my mom got me this book for Christmas. She put it in my stocking. My parents have a tradition of stocking stuffers, and we always get goofy stuff in our stocking. And so this was in there, and I have no idea what one of these cost. It's made by Piccadilly. They're the people, they do all kinds of little sketchbooks and stuff. They make stationery. And mom got me this because she thought it was funny because it's 200 drawing prompts. And if you look on here, at the top of each one, it has a little thing, Celtic design.
Celtic. Yeah.
Yeah, or cassette tape. So I've had this sitting around since Christmas, and I finally broke into it, and so I completely ignore the prompts and have been drawing in it.
Hmm.
But it's a great little book to draw in. In fact, I emailed the
Oh yeah.
company and said,
Oh
"You
yeah. It
make one of
forces you to
these."
just think of the shapes. Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. I'm drawing at
Well,
a.
it's just a nice. It's kind of it's about the size of a paperback book, and the paper is actually fairly heavy. I mean, I wouldn't draw. It's soft. I wouldn't draw on it with a Sharpie or anything. And I've only drawn a couple pages on, and I'm ignoring the little prompts. I don't care about that. But I've been
Mhm.
drawing, figures, action. I've been trying to do more of this stuff
Yeah.
because this all ties into my Bronze Age battles sketchbook that I've been working on. So this is my Bronze Age, and I think I've shown. I know you've seen some of this, Ellis. You've seen this,
Yeah. Uh huh.
and then let's see. So the next one I did was
Yeah,
this.
I remember that one
Because by
too.
the way, someone's buying this. Someone
Cool.
have you seen
Oh
this?
yeah,
I think I did
I,
this last
I
week.
remember that one. That was you were working on it last week.
I
Maybe
think I
finished
finished
it
it
while
last
we were
week.
talking. Yeah.
So I finished one up last night. I think it's the best one.
Let's see. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Nice dynamic uh,
I was I was
punch shot.
I was very happy. So yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. Yeah, I got a little bit of this stuff. I kind of like that, but it
Mhm.
um I don't know. That needs to be a little bit bolder. I probably need to go over that. And I was looking at a comic book and I saw a panel they did that and it was like, oh, I want to steal that. Not how they did it, but just how they distributed it. There's
Mhm.
kind of a that's the kind of stuff that I steal from comics is like, this the rays, how many
Mhm.
did they use? And I can't remember what that was in. I think it was an X-Men book. In fact, I think it was this book. I may flip through here and see if I can find this because I remember seeing that and I was like, oh, that's how I want it. Because normally when I do that kind of thing, I tend to go too much. See, but stuff like this is like
Mhm.
this. That's what I steal
Yeah.
from comics. Just oh, how do you do that effect? You
Yeah.
know. But I need to find. I know what that was. Mm,
Well, no, you're right to figure out. To not don't
See, like
overboard always ruins everything. You
see,
don't
I
want to
think
be
this is too
overboard.
much. This is what I typically do.
Hmm.
You know.
Yeah.
And so I was trying to find. And they don't do it in comics a lot now, but I love these little things where it's got the lines where he drops the thing and it
Hmm.
dunks. You know.
Yeah, I tell you what, I see your calligraphy. When you show me an example, I see when you're usually showing off burn stuff and other
Oh
people.
yeah.
It's like, okay, I see your calligraphy. I
It's
understand.
like, oh yeah, you
I'm
are
always
you are
trying to make your
you are still in
calligraphy
that.
more representative of some sort of render I have in mind, and
Yeah.
you're copying the calligraphy you want. So.
Yeah, I mean, there are things I don't like, but so like to me, like what John Byrne is really good at is just stuff like this panel.
Hmm.
It's
Hmm.
them and they're next to some sort of a pool or lake or whatever, and
Right.
it's the characters. It's got the trees. It's got buildings. I mean, those are just squares with black, but it sells it. I mean, there's a
Hmm.
bench, there's a hill, there's some bubbles, and so in the next panel, when their ship comes out of the water, it's like, oh, okay, this is, or even like this. I mean, look at the buildings in the background, which those may not even been him. That may have been Terry Austin.
Hmm.
You know, I can't find that. I know it was from this book. I think. I
Have you
know. I
seen
think.
the newest Dune?
No, I haven't. You were raving about it. I'm waiting for it to
Yeah,
come back
it
to Amazon for
yeah,
HBO.
Amazon I think charged me
No,
ten
it'll
bucks
be
to
it'll
own
be
it.
it'll be HBO. HBO. It came out through HBO when it was out. But the stuff
Right,
that
yeah, it was kind of controversial. The guy says, "Hey, you're just killing my box office." I spent 3 years on the
well,
thing.
well, and HBO uh, they'll put like that. I watched that the Many Saints in Newark, and that came out at the same time then as in the theater, but then they do like a limited run.
I can't believe it. It's typical of me. I realized that.
That panel.
Oh yeah. Nice.
For that's just the layer of depth is just really cool in this to me. I don't think I'm gonna be able to find that panel. It may not have been in here, but so since you haven't left the house for a couple days, what have you been up to?
Well, I was going to get up to spring cleaning, and I'm still going to, but I think I will get out a little bit tomorrow.
Oh yeah,
I gotta go. I gotta just make a point of touching everything, and just get it all cleaned up. Just go through the whole house, get everything to pass on.
Yeah, Dave invited me to go to the library's having their book sale tomorrow. And he's like, oh man, you go and you come out with a tub of books. I'm thinking, where the hell would I put a tub of books?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I mean, I used to go to that every year, but I'm just like, at this point, I'm like, you know what? I think I'd rather just, okay, like I want there's a couple books that I want. It's like, I'd rather just order them and pay, maybe not full price, but, close to full retail. And not wait in line,
you had a nice half price book score on Rat God, which is how much do you think that goes for on eBay?
I don't know. That wasn't me. That was Ellis. Barry. I mean.
Okay. Oh, that was Barry. Okay. Huh.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's weird. Since you're automatically the one that always scores on half price book, I just assumed
I've been to a half price book in a long time. I don't know what to do. I just haven't,
Well, you just said why. You just said why. You got no room for them.
Yeah, I got no room. Well, I mean, and I'll tell you something else. I through my work, I got like $150 in Amazon cash.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of cleaned out a lot of stuff on my wish list recently. So it's like, do I need to?
Don't need that.
Don't
need that.
Yeah, I think I went to. I did go. We went to Sprouts over there, and it's by the half price books. I think I got a book off the clearance rack. I've been reading that book. I got that book a while back about Robert E. Howard called Blood and Thunder.
Oh, wow.
I actually got that at a thrift store.
What can you tell us about Robert E. Howard that you didn't know? All of it? I mean, everything in it? Was it all revelation?
I didn't know much about him biographically. I mean, I knew he was from Texas. I knew he committed suicide.
Yeah, I've seen a movie about him, what's the name of the movie? The Whole Wide World. Yeah.
Isn't that like him and his girlfriend or something?
Yeah, she wrote the book. Novel and Price, yeah.
It talks about her in that book. It is kind of funny to think of him, and I mean, I knew this because I know he's from Cross Plains, Texas, which I've never heard of other than in connection with him. But It is kind of funny to think of him as being from a small town.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Because as a guy that grew up in a small town, you kind of think of like nothing happening.
Well, nothing does happen. It's all going to be your own flights of imagination that take you anywhere, and that's pretty good for a guy that wants to be a writer. In some cases, it's worked for, gosh, I don't know. Archie Goodwin was from a little town in Oklahoma. And there's a lot of people that sprout in little places and go on to, especially writers.
Yeah, I think that's probably true. It's just I think though when you're from there, it's hard to think like that.
Yeah.
I mean, you know how it is.
I forget what. Oh yeah, it was the person I'm listening to right now on audiobook, Patricia Highsmith, with she's got a short story collection called 11. Well, you could say, oh, she's from Texas too, but no, she was a baby before her mom yanked her out and took her on a mostly like let's go to Europe kind of lifestyle. So so if you go, yeah, look, she came from Texas. No, she was born in Texas,
right,
and never went back. Pretty much.
Yeah.
I think she died in Switzerland, something like that.
The thing I didn't really, which I kind of knew that, and I mean I have not got very far in it. He's still in high school in the part I'm reading, but he's just all the pictures of him in that book are just of him like boxing and with guns and knives, and I mean he was kind of a tough guy or whatever. I mean he wasn't a roughneck, but he was from an area where there was a lot of roughnecks. Kind of grew up in a kind of a cowboy area.
Sure.
He was probably kind of a little bit of a redneck though.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, he's got some very Novel and Price talks about some of their conversations, and he gets very racist with her, saying, "What are you being seen with him for?" And this talking about some old guy that is a fixture that is basically just kind of like, in the old days you'd call him a mulatto. He was, he's like Barack Obama. He was had some white and black in him.
I'm trying to think what the New Orleans. I don't know if that's Creole. No, there's a New Orleans. There's a New Orleans term for that, where someone's of mixed heritage.
But as they also used to call it, the tar brush. If that touches you, some people considered that like, hey, you don't associate with them people. You're white. But that was apparently to an extent the Robert E. Howard attitude. He was just reflective of his time,
Yeah.
And they don't go into that. I don't know if Vincent D'Onofrio said hemmed or hawed if they ever got into that in the movie. They didn't. They didn't go into anything like him being racist in the movie. But if the script included that, I wonder if he said, "No, I'm not going to say that."
I'm not. No. I don't. You're not giving them that soundbite on me.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Anyway.
Talking about people being given sound bites. I wanted to praise Jerry Seinfeld. There's a clip, and you can find it somewhere out there. It's on YouTube, where Seinfeld talks about society's Me Too stuff, and it's this little clip with this interviewer tries to get him on something, and anyway, Seinfeld finishes up with this little thought, and he goes, men and women chase each other, right? And she sits there like, I'm just going to let that pass over me. And Seinfeld leans over at her with his typical big old smile and says emphatically, right? which forces her to react, and she goes, yeah, right. Men and women chase each other. And I just love that he wasn't going to let her pose for him, and sit there and act like she would. You can say that if you want to, screw that. He wanted to know if he was right or not. He got it out of her. Am I right? It was just a crack up. Like a lot of what Seinfeld did. A lot of Seinfeld is funny because of attitude.
Yeah. Oh yeah, my brother's a big Seinfeld guy. I could take it in doses.
How did your brother do on the game show the other night?
So my brother was on a game show. It aired yesterday. it's hosted by Jay Leno. It's called You Bet Your Life, which I think is an old show.
Oh yeah.
And so my brother was on there with this girl that he didn't know. They put two people together, and there are a couple things that happen. There's a secret word. If you say the secret word, you get money. Oh,
that's right. Yeah. It's the old
Groucho.
He did not say this.
He did. You know what? It is the old Groucho show, isn't it? Mm-hmm. He didn't say the secret word. Their secret word was imagine. Which is the people before, their secret word was Christmas. And Jay Leno asked this guy who had a big family, he goes, well, holidays must be tough for you. And he goes, oh yeah, especially at Christmas. And they get $500. Well, my brother, theirs was imagine, and Jay Leno didn't set him up anyway like he did the other people. But
how about that John Lennon song? What's your favorite John Lennon song? Yeah.
What's your favorite John Lennon song? You know, even then it'd be a crapshoot. But
yeah.
So they asked you questions, and it was their theme was bullies.
Oh,
and it was So the first one was the bully in Harry Potter, which my brother had no clue, and the girl didn't have no clue. I knew, but watching, I was like, I can't think of the dude's name. I know that it's Draco something. Anyway, so I don't know how I would do. My brother didn't get it. The next question was about Back to the Future, you know, and my brother's a big Huey Lewis fan, and so he was like, Back to the Future is one of my favorite movies. I know exactly what that is. And it was a question about the bully in Back to the Future. The third question was in the movie Mean Girls, the name of the girl group, what they called themselves, multiple choice, and they got it. It was the Plastics. The girl knew because she had seen Mean Girls. And there was something else. I forget what the other one was, but they get to the end and they won like $4,000, I think.
Cool.
And you could bet, and it's double or nothing. And so the question involved the movie that they figured out. It was about a character, but they had to name the movie this character was from, and the character was Nurse Ratched.
Oh yeah. That's one flew over the cuckoo's nest.
That exactly. They could not come up with my brother kept telling her one who flew over they could not. They kept trying to put the one that flew over one. I think their guess was one who flew over the cuckoo's nest, which was not close enough. So they lost everything.
Good Lord. Oh, that's horrible. You mean they had flew over the cuckoo's nest and then phrased parts of it wrong?
No.
And lost.
Yes.
Oh my God.
They were close.
That's awful.
No. What they guessed is, I think that what they guessed was one who flew over the cuckoo's nest.
One who flew over the cuckoo's nest. One flew over the cuckoo's nest is the title. You mean one who flew over the cuckoo's nest will disqualify you? Wow.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Had to get it. They didn't know the name of it. They had a good guess.
To me, it's pretty obvious they did know the name of it. Just forgot the exact. What do you call it?
Sequence. The exact words.
The exact words. Of course, words are important. Some people are always telling us, but even though they don't act like it,
words matter.
Words matter. Hey, I'm doing some good Batman thumbnails. I'm going to try to do a oil painting, and I've decided I'm going to do Batman again because I always jump into a Batman project with a little bit of relish anyway. But this time, it's going to be all prep, and I'm going to be just totally ready when I go to battle this time.
Gotcha.
I just finished up a freelance project. I'll see if I can share that screen.
Oh, yeah. Was it the tower?
Yeah, that tower in the middle of a tower of zombies. I'm sharing the screen of it. It was a lot of fun for me, and I probably, well, it's because I'm stuck. I I got cabin fever. All I'm doing is saying, I could bring that up and work on it again. So that's what I'm doing. It's like I had fun with it.
Yeah, that looks pretty cool, dude. I like it a lot.
But it's like it came from a strong thumbnail, and so it was easy.
Oh yeah,
it was so easy because
you did the thumbnail, right? They didn't send me a thumbnail.
Yeah. And then I really liked, dropping in photos into artwork. You could consider it cheating, but a lightning bolt is just it's a pattern of light, and it's so I dropped that in there, and I think the filter I used to where it's at is lighten, and then I masked it and only allowed the bolt. I went over it in the mask with black just where the bolt was at, and then feathered it in by continuing to work on the mask. And boy, I tell you what, it's like, hey man, you could draw good. You can definitely draw.
Do you ever watch any of those? What's the guy that has the school in Singapore, Feng Shui or whatever? His videos. He's the concept artist that does the concept artist school.
Oh yes, yeah.
He is all about getting photos and dropping photos in. And,
oh yeah. There's nothing that is like. It's a no-brainer. All the recent stuff I've done has had really strong reference, and most often has dropped in a little texture or this or that was straight from a photo that I painted into. And after I'm done with it, you can't tell that it was just a photo. I've painted into it. I've eradicated the painting,
right?
Which is, that's just part of preparation for a guy that wants a good painting. When you're drawing something, you're probably very close attention to some sort of reference you've got, whether it's a portrait or whatever, and you've done so much study and laid it down. You've taken all the fun out of it, I guess. What you wanted to do was doodle something into existence, which is fun. You can always get. I'm never going to stop doodling, so I don't have to worry about that. What I need to do is train myself up to do the hard work of being prepared for something that looks pretty good. Do all the practices involved in that.
Yeah.
Let's see. What's my other? Oh, guess what? Oh gosh, I've been feeding all these cats. So I had this one little runt cat that I just assumed because it was running with all these other cats and would not be driven away for a couple of months now. So I figured, wow, you little runt tomcat, because I just assumed, nothing but a tomcat is going to say, hey, I belong here. I'll fight you for every scrap of food I get. And I saw that these cats were behaving odd. You could tell it was pond far time again.
Oh no!
I picked that little runt cat up and realized I had never sexed it. I looked, picked it up and looked under its tail, and I said, "Oh my God, I got a cat that's going to be having kittens."
It's like, oh my God, it's like an orgy in my front edge.
And that little girl has just been totally convinced me she was one of the guys ready to fight them all.
She's
and that really surprised me. But
Rosie O'Donnell of cats.
Yeah, I was looking into how much would it take to get her fixed right about now. Man, I didn't do it.
Oh yeah, you may regret that.
I've been loading up the library. I've got this huge book of J.G. Ballard short stories. I think it's got 200 short stories in it. I think I've read 3. Yeah, they average. Wait a second. No. It would only be. No, it may be 200. How many pages is that thing? I'd have to look. So anyway, I've got this huge book I'm probably not going to read. I've got a book on George Soros called The Man Behind the Curtain, which is
Oh God.
fascinating. But I can only read it like 2 or 3 pages at a time because it's not a narrative. So I can't just say, I'm hooked now. I'm just
Yeah.
reading all these sad, angry, make you angry details about George Soros. And, that's all I need is stuff to make me
Yeah,
angry.
more stuff to make you angry.
Yeah.
Go yell at a cloud. No
Yeah,
wonder you're
exactly.
depressed. You can't see the clouds, or it's
Yeah,
all
that's right.
clouds. Yeah. Well, he's probably got his hand in
Oh, he's got his
this.
hand in everything.
Oh, he's
God, it is
horrible.
just, he is an awful, awful person that this is his hobby. He is just this
Screwing things up.
guy that, well, it's not so much screwing things up as it's like, it's a master of the universe kind of thing that he's got. It is really, truly a pathology where he says, what can I do? What can one man, a man with my abilities, what can he accomplish in his life?
And no
kind
moral
of thing.
compass.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
no
yeah.
moral compass.
Yeah, well, that's the deal, and he's completely painted it as he calls
Oh,
it the open society. It's supposedly from his frame of reference, it is about his desires to get this world right. But
well,
it's
yeah, but
oh yeah, it's totally
no one. But here's the problem: no one should be allowed to make the world in their own image.
mm-hmm.
I don't care how altruistic or whatever, which I don't think he is for a minute, by the way.
No.
I mean, this it's just like the war, and it's like, oh, this should be part of Mother Russia. Like,
Mm-hmm.
no, when you came along, this is how it was. You don't get to change it, but except apparently he does.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
But
No, he
what's
gets
so
to.
ridiculous about we could stop Russia in their tracks if we would just go back to producing oil here. Russia was Putin was hanging on by a thread. So because I read a lot of oil news.
Mm-hmm.
There's a web page, or there's a website called oilprice.com, and
Mm-hmm.
they don't have, well, I think they do have some reporters, but it's basically an aggregator for oil news.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's not comment, it's not, there's no editorializing.
Mm-hmm.
It's just all about what's going on with the oil industry. And if Russia and Saudi Arabia, they need oil to be about $60 or $70 a barrel just to prop up their economies.
Mm-hmm.
Well, oil's $100 a barrel right now, Ellis.
Oh yeah.
And so these guys are getting rich. And if we would, and it wasn't that way, even though oil was not cheap. And now during the pandemic, oil dropped down to about $20 a barrel. So everybody's getting broke.
Mm-hmm.
But before the pandemic, it was 40, I think. And so they were hurting, but we were producing oil here. But the
Mm-hmm.
problem is we've gone back because of the regulations on that have been put on by the Biden administration.
Oh yeah. Oh man, they
We've
came in.
gone back. He's going to come in with a vengeance. One of the first things he did was shut the pipeline,
Mm-hmm.
which I don't know how that would affect the oil price. But then he approved the Russian pipeline, that Nord Stream 2,
Mm-hmm.
which pumps oil to Europe.
Yeah.
And it's like he opened the floodgates for Russia to make money.
Mm-hmm.
And that if we want peace in other parts of the world, we got to take their money away.
Mm-hmm.
They get money and they can do crap like this when they're struggling. Don't have the money for these kind of adventures.
Mm-hmm.
The world's a lot better place, and a high oil price, and an America that's oil independent is a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a lot of miscellaneous feelings about the thing, but the biggest overriding thing on Ukraine to me that makes me think, well, all this is just because of the Ukraine. I mean, the only reason they're squealing at all, because you know that Biden will not step in the way or bother with anything that doesn't affect him and his. He's got the southern border wide open. He's got us all under this stupid thing on COVID, stupid policies on COVID. And so the American people matter absolutely nothing to him. He is in there for his little elite group and representing them. So that something has happened to make him even be bothered by this. And that something is that this was their piggy bank. The Ukraine was their little piggy bank. And basically it's being smashed as they look at it. You know, they realize, oh my gosh, we can't have them in there. They won't pay off like
God, what if they
like
get
our
in there
pals have been paying off?
What if they get it? What if they get in there and find the receipts?
Oh, exactly. Yeah, I mean that's a big part of it too. Say this is no good. They get that. They get that this is not good for them, and so we actually had a little bit of action, but we're actually getting no action. He's not going to pull a Bill Clinton. It doesn't look like they. The biggest thing that shows you America is got it all together is that we can project force, and it doesn't look like we're really getting ready to project any force. But of course, you wouldn't want them to.
No. I don't want him to. I don't. This is not the war we need to be involved in.
No. This is like, yep. Oh well, they almost asked for it. Let them take it away. I mean they pushed. They said, "Oh yeah. This would be best if they were NATO." Yeah, it's almost like I made a joke about it that it was almost like this is the Ben Rhodes policy. The guy that it's one of his paperback pitches to his publisher. Imagine the Cuban Missile Crisis, only in reverse. We're the ones bringing the missiles in, and what happens then? And what happens then? It's like. Okay, you wanted Ukraine to be NATO, eh? Well, maybe you just lost the Ukraine.
Yeah, well, I don't think Ukraine could have been NATO.
No, well, they wanted them to join NATO.
Who did? Us or the Russians?
We were pushing for the idea that Ukraine was going to join NATO.
Oh, well, I don't think that's.
Well, yeah, it doesn't seem like it could happen, but there was elements pushing for it. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure. No.
I mean, this is a very active dialogue that was going on. The Ben Rhodes, the Madeleine Albright types. Yeah, they were all for that.
I wonder why.
Their piggy bank would just be that more of something like a hands-off item.
Huh. Okay. Well, what's weird about Ukraine and all this stuff with Biden and his son getting money. Why is Ukraine giving these guys money? That's what I don't understand about all this, and I don't follow this, but why would anybody in Ukraine care about? I know it's access to Biden. I know it's quid pro quo and all that jazz. Oh, yeah. But why would they care? What does Ukraine want? And they didn't get what they were paying for, obviously, because now they've been invaded.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I'm sure part of it had to do with wanting some sort of,
Well, I mean, Biden has, to an extent, gotten a little something he may have needed as he goes into. You realize Monday is going to be his 2-month delayed State of the Union address, and here he is basically got a something where he can blame Russia for just virtually everything. He can possibly point at and blame
Well,
somebody else
look
for
at
it.
oil prices. Look at, yeah. Well, it's the opposite. Oil prices, his inability to maintain the oil industry at the level it was at. Forget about making it better. Just his inability to foster the energy sector of this country, such a big part of our country and a big part of national security is. I feel that's like the cause of a lot of this.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not the cause, but that's a way you shut that spigot off. You hamper Russia's money by keeping the price reasonable and not buying any in America and offering it cheaper to the other exporting. We were a net exporter of oil during the Trump years.
Mm-hmm.
You keep doing that and you put the screws to Russia, and he's got problems at his. When things are good, he can do this kind of crap,
Mm-hmm. Well, and you were talking about what's in it for or how it works. For us, for the totally corrupt here that we're used to getting the piggy bank effect, it's just a matter of not influence peddling. It's just payoffs by the oligarchs for letting them run it the way they want to run it. And we there's just a lot of paydays. That's
there's got to be something they want.
There is influence peddling by all these kids of a lot of our politicians are employed in the same way that Hunter Biden is employed, doing jobs they're not qualified for, but are extremely high paying. We're talking about, $1 million salaries. So it's, look at that. That's leaking. It's a good thing I discovered that before I set it down.
Yeah, no doubt.
Hey, I'm gonna go get the last of my coffee. So if you've got any soliloquies, I'd go into them.
Okay, I'll go into them. I don't have my iPad, so I don't know if anybody's watching. But if you are, thank you for watching. We've, if you don't live here in Oklahoma, we've been in the middle of a cold snap for the last couple of days. Ellis said it was the worst we've had of the year. I don't know if that's 100% true. I don't know that it's not, mind you, but anyway, so we've been in the middle of that. I've had this weird thing where 2 weeks ago, or 3 weeks ago, I guess, or week before last, it was cold, and so I worked from home.
I'm back.
And then last week I had COVID.
Oh man, so how's that going? How's that going?
Dude, I'm fine.
You are fine. Excellent.
My nose is a little bit stuffy, but I never felt bad. And I was telling you.
You feel like your brain got reprogrammed. And tell us about that subjective feeling that you're talking about. I'm not trying to get you to say COVID is bad or anything like that. I'm just wondering.
Well, COVID is bad if it kills you.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say it's good.
You don't have some of the typical comorbidities, though.
Oh, no. Well, I don't. Who knows? But
none of us know until we get it.
Right. I'm kind of surprised that I got it, and kind of not. But Michelle still hadn't got it, and she was around me. So you would think. But I've just decided she's just immune to it or whatever.
You
or something.
You can have a virus out there that you just don't get.
Apparently she doesn't get it. Mm-hmm. Of course, we're both vaccinated, and they say vaccinated to vaccinated transmission is pretty rare. So, but I had no. So I had a sniffle.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't that bad. In fact, you and I are going to hang out that day.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just kind of, when I went to bed the night before, I just kind of was like, my throat's, it felt like sinus drainage.
To me, when I get a cold, there is 2 days at least where it's like, hey, I'd rather do nothing but sleep, and you never had that.
No, I haven't been. In fact, I was telling you, it's been the opposite with me. I feel like I don't want to say I have more energy, but I'm not tired. I'm not as tired. I definitely one of my employees got it same time I did, and he's just been wiped out. He's just been like, I just want to go home and sleep all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I want to go home and make art.
That's very good.
That'll cure all of your comorbidities. No, I mean,
what I wonder though, you took a test for it. It told you had it.
Yeah.
These tests actually make a distinction between a rhinovirus and a coronavirus.
Yeah,
they do.
I mean,
okay.
Well, I can't show you because on my phone I'm filming with it, but
okay.
I mean, I got a thing that said, I mean, it didn't tell me what variant I had or anything.
Yeah, can't do that.
And I told you, like the state health department was like, would you be willing to fill out a survey? And at first I was like, oh sure, and then I got into it and it was like, who have you been around? And I'm like, you know what? Screw you guys.
Yeah, exactly.
And it wasn't really even that I was that paranoid about it. It was more that I just didn't want to deal with it.
Yeah.
I was like, you don't need that information.
Yeah.
It's like, where have you been? And then it was like, where have you been? And it gave you categories. And then it was like, what are the addresses? And I'm like, no. And see, like at my church, so we got it. Everybody that was at church a couple weeks ago got a thing saying, oh, somebody at the service had COVID, so, well, it freaked out a bunch of people because all of a sudden people were like, oh my gosh, I was exposed. Well, they won't tell you who. See, I think they should tell you who, because that happened several months ago that there was somebody, and it was somebody I was around. And they're like, oh, but I know from work, you have to be around someone for 15 minutes to get, the right amount of virus in your system. 15 minutes within 6 feet. And so I was like, I saw the person. I said hello to them. I didn't shake their hand. I didn't hug them. I didn't, there was nothing like that. So I never worried about it. But I mean, I've tried to not worry about any of this. So it's only fitting that when I got it, it would be pretty minor, But I mean,
that's good that it was minor because, obviously it could be bad.
Oh, I mean, I know people it's killed. I mean, but I mean, for me, it was like, and I mean, even like the guy at work, it didn't kill him, but I mean, I did have one employee that I really wondered about for a little while. I mean, he texted me at one point. He goes, man, last night I felt like I was going to die,
Well, you know what, that always gets me in some of these first person's accounts where there is this moment of the ones that do go that attempt to go the Rogan route of saying, doctor, tell me what I can do. And it's like, I've never had a cold that made me want to do that. And so it's like, are these people that are just healthy all the time that just totally get alarmed when they get a cold or what?
Yeah. Like I said, I wouldn't have tested except for the guy at my work got he tested and he texted me and he goes, I tested positive for coronavirus. I was like, whoa. And I told Michelle, I go, you know what? I think I'm going to test before we go to church. I took a home test, and dude, the line on it turned black immediately. I'm still, and you know what's weird is I still am like, have trouble like convincing myself that I actually had it.
No, I mean,
because think about it.
The only thing that makes me hard to convince on it is that my past experience with all colds. Anytime I get a cold, the first reaction to it is like, maybe I'm not too sick, and then it says, okay, I've had enough time to work on you here, and then you get the cold. It sets in after, maybe it gives you a day or so break, and then you get the cold.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It felt pretty much like a cold to me, like a regular cold, like I'd have. But not even that. I mean,
well,
I had
you
one.
may not get colds like I have. I
maybe not.
I do tend to get a cold if I get one of like, oh, I gotta go sleep.
No. I don't usually. I just like but I also do things like when I feel one coming on, I'll start taking medicine and like zinc and some of that kind of stuff. I mean, I've got tricks.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? Does this look okay?
Let's see. Oh yeah. Well, you know what you ought to do is stop that and get back to it after you've done a little bitty thumbnail, like what I'm doing.
Well, what's funny is I did a thumbnail and I didn't like it, but not of this. I like. I don't know. I'm trying to like push myself on this because this is an exercise that I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm trying to be like, okay, how can I push myself? I'll do the little bitty thumbnail in my little bitty thumbnail book.
Mm-hmm.
My 200 drawing prompts.
Well, there you go.
This book, the paper's soft, so it's great for using with a black wing.
Oh yeah, that is a good feeling. That buttery black wing.
Yeah, just kind of nice.
That's made for. Yeah.
Yeah, you can just and look, I got the pencil is like small enough. You could throw these in an envelope and carry them with you anywhere. Yeah, I emailed the manufacturer and was like, "Hey, do you make this with the blue cover?" And I haven't heard back from them. I don't think they'd like my suggestion.
Comixology. Everybody that had an account with them, they just like
was foolish.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it turns out.
They got Putined.
Yeah,
exactly. Might as well buy your stocks in Ukraine on the Ukraine Stock Exchange.
Did you not have any Comixology at all?
No.
Okay. Cool.
I don't read digital comics.
I don't read them that much, but it is one way to say, okay, oh wow, Corben's got something out. I want to see that. And I'm really happy with.
Why would I pay for digital comics when I can get them for free?
Oh, I tell you what, that is true anymore, isn't it? Yeah. There are a couple of sites.
No. All joking aside, which I mean, I'll freely admit, I read old comics online all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But all joking aside, why in the world most digital comics I look at, and I know it's not all of them, but golly, they're almost as expensive as a print comic.
Yeah. Yeah,
it's like, the thing? This is ridiculous. What are you paying for?
Mm-hmm.
But that's just me. So what didn't you like about this? I need to fix.
Oh, it just looked like it needed a little bit of thinking about the action lines and such as that. It's like, what do you want to do with it? What's the guy doing? Grabbing somebody from behind? I want to see some foreshortening. You've got a very 2D approach. You've got every bit of their torso, every bit of their legs. Get in there and learn some John Byrne there. I mean, get in there and turn somebody's torso and shorten it and turn somebody's head down or whatever.
Okay.
I'm sorry you asked me.
I'm sorry I asked you too.
Yeah. That's right. At least I had
an idea, an answer.
What it might be, you might fix it.
No, you had a suggestion. That's okay. Well, I started off.
Mm-hmm.
I started off with a. I'm not tired at all from the COVID. I started off with a. The first one I did had a real. I'd drawn it in my sketchbook, and it did have a real. It was a guy punching. It was.
Yeah. And that's what the tendency has been. Is like you wanting something dynamic to go into your book, so make it dynamic. And that only happens when you get your forms flowing over each other in interesting patterns of big shapes.
But the problem is I don't want to repeat myself, but I mean I that's a cop out though.
Well, you know what, I I had a fun experience where I said, now, wait a moment. Jack Kirby's got a punch. He does.
Oh.
He does it everywhere. And it is that dynamic where you caught me that one time. I was just almost embarrassed where you caught me of saying I had both left foot and left fist.
Oh, move
forward at the same time. And it's like, God, it's such a basic thing to get wrong.
I caught you because I've been caught at that. Once you get caught, you never forget that.
Well, that's the deal. You hopefully you don't get caught at it, but Kirby, that was just so fundamental to what he did, and that you could almost like say, okay, I'm going to do a resin kit of this pose, and you can turn it because Kirby could turn it in 360 degrees.
Oh yeah,
and do it from any angle, but it was always the exact same proportions over how it was working, And
how you feel about?
Wow, he's doing one punch, cool.
How you feel about Rich Buckler? I got a Fantastic Four Essential number 7 handy right here. A lot of
the Buckler Fantastic Four.
Yeah,
well, it looks great. Looks like the oh man, I like.
I mean, look at the action, man.
Mm-hmm.
Buckler takes a lot of crap, I think, but golly, man.
Obviously undeserved crap then, because that's obviously great composition and stuff. That is such an art. Comics, really good comics back in the day.
Oh, look at this pose.
Oh yeah, well, that's what I'm talking about. See, look at that. We're looking. That reminds me of something I just downloaded called "The Immoral Mr. T's," because it's all about her bosom, looking down the foreshortening and seeing the tops of her bosom. And that's a cool angle. I looked it up. Sure enough, found it. The Russ Meyer film, The Immoral Mr. T's, is on YouTube.
Oh, there you go.
And I thought to myself, what is this as bad as I remember it when I saw it at a drive-in here in Oklahoma City? Because it just almost made me want to shoot whoever was involved with it, because it seems so boring. Because it's just this guy on his bicycle driving around and encountering nudity in a random way. And what I believed to be true about it was that it wasn't the Russ Meyer we know who would do a lot of editing. Editing makes, everything so much more interesting. But then I was watching it, and I was watching it like at 3 times speed on QuickTime. And it's like, no, he's editing the heck out of it. It's got a lot of shots in it. So, it was just one of those things where it just bored the heck out of me at the drive-in. So I've decided Russ Meyer can do no wrong.
Contrary to what you had thought before.
To what I used to think, at least for that one film.
Okay, that's a good Thor pose.
There you go. Yeah, I get inspired. If I were you, I would just say, oh, never mind.
I'm swiping.
Copy something.
This is literally swiping, isn't it? Well, I'm just.
No, it's not swiping. No, now look at yourself.
I don't care.
You're saying I'm cheating if I look at something and transcribe it a little bit. That's not you can only draw a person from so many angles.
Yeah, I think.
The main lesson you always got to take away is like.
If I'm swiping, I guarantee you Buckler was swiping Kirby's.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man. You talk about having a morgue of somebody. Oh, look at here. Somebody's talking to us. Uh-oh. Sorry, I've had a couple things open. Mannequin in Chief. Oh, this is, let's see who. This is
Mannequin in Chief.
Tylathy Kami. Mannequin in Chief is corrupt and he's easy to blackmail. Corn Pop was a bad dude. Mannequin Chief is a dud dude. That's interesting.
Yeah,
Mannequin Chief doesn't care about her. I call him China Joe. Yeah, nobody ever calls him Mr. President. Ukraine borders are a sacred cow.
The what?
Mean tweets matter. Okay, cool. Well, anyway, Talitha.
That is kind of funny, and it's funny that I don't know who Talitha is, but about the mean tweet, and I don't know, but my wife and I were talking, and I was telling her, everybody's like, oh, Trump was mean and he was aggressive, and it's like, good grief, grow a pair.
Oh,
sometimes you need a leader that.
No. Trump, absolutely. I would go for him again in a hot second. The guy has
absolutely.
been vetted more than anybody that's ever held a public office.
Oh, absolutely.
And we're talking aggressively vetted from top to bottom by the meanest organizations on earth. That the intelligence agency has given him the probing that nobody has ever had before, and he survived it. He understood early on that none of this is worth being shaky about. You always have to have your legal house in order. And,
yeah.
But the guys like Andrew Weissman, they want to take their crack at it, give him the budget, and he will tie Trump up for $1 billion worth of legal fees. But that's just being used as a way to punish somebody.
That's all. That's the interesting thing. They always talk about how mean Trump is and all that stuff. They literally hate Trump for no reason.
No,
they would
all the jerks, the mean jerks.
They would love to see him publicly executed for nothing.
Mm-hmm.
For winning
all the
office.
curb stomping meanness is on the left side.
Absolutely.
These truckers that have been manhandled by the Canadians. Yeah. They never once they yelled, they honked their horns, but there was nobody gang stomping anybody.
Exactly. They did. The violence was certainly not like we saw it over the summer of 2020. Not everywhere, but in places.
Yeah, the summer of 2020 when they were given the license to do everything they've ever fantasized about doing. Yeah.
So one of my criteria about doing this is that I kind of want both the characters kind of semi-facing the cover. Now they don't have to completely be facing the cover.
There you go. You are doing thumbnails. Wow. I actually got you to. No, that's a lot better, and I like the flow of what you're doing a lot better. I mean, work it out. I mean, there's.
Okay, so I mentioned that COVID, I think, has changed my brain a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing is, and I don't know if it's just COVID or just, the last year I have been doing nothing but drawing my sketchbook, basically. I mean, I've drawn some, but I mean, I haven't been working on a comic book because my comic book's done. I'm waiting for it to be published. And I have developed, and certainly the last couple months, I've developed this feel for anatomy where I'm much more comfortable drawing, and it's more about.
Well, you don't solve it. Yeah, I mean that was your biggest flaws. You were trying, like, from the moment you started putting a line down, trying to solve it. You don't solve it. You just say it's a square. It goes down.
Well, and I think I've learned, I've tried to force myself to draw anatomy a lot simpler and to think about it in real simple terms.
Yes.
And just get that right.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is wrong.
And it can't be wrong at that stage.
Well,
that's the other thing. It can't be wrong. There is no such thing as wrong in a thumbnail.
Not the pose that I want. So, Batman comes out in a few weeks.
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about some movies.
Well, I think I'm going to go see, a few Fridays ago, I went to the theater in Bricktown on Friday after I got off work. It was like the 11:30 show, and it cost me $7, Ellis.
Wow.
I don't know if you'd want to, do you have any interest in seeing Batman?
Oh, not particularly. I just now, like I say, I just now got around to Dune, but I tell you what, That's a worthwhile movie.
Dune.
Yeah, you're a big fan
Oh,
of the book, right? I think I just
I've
now.
never read the book.
Okay, well, you know what? They've got the audio book at the library.
I
That's
have
my
the
next
audiobook
audio
on
book on
I have the
CD.
audiobook on my phone. I
Oh
checked it
wow!
out and on CD and copied it. I've never made it through it. I get to the part where, he sticks his hand in the John Bar or whatever it is,
Yeah, yeah.
and
That's
it
why he's
just
got it in his neck. He sticks his hand in something else.
okay. Anyway, and my problem is I just it's just so
You know what? It's got too much.
unrelated to anything that I'm involved in.
Yeah, it's
You know what I'm
it's
saying? It's
it.
so detached.
Yeah. Well, it's got a lot of stuff not happening. I mean, it. There's not a lot happening. You've got court intrigue that you're being all informed about, and a little maybe over-informed about. But you get into the rhythm of it.
Yeah, I think I
And,
just need to pay attention. I need to pay attention. I did listen to uh, a science fiction what was it, short story today, um, called "The Tunnel Under the World" by Frederick Pohl,
hmm,
and I listened to it just on a fluke because I was reading how there was again, this is going to go back to John Byrne, but there was a Fantastic Four annual, I think it's an annual that he did, and a lot of people said, "Oh, it's like that short story," which he claimed to have never read, and so a fan site put up the interview with him where he claimed to have never read it, and then they also put a link to the story, a facsimile of the story online. I didn't read it this morning when I was working. I found it on YouTube, the audiobook on YouTube, and I listened to it. And it was basically, it reminded me of a Twilight Zone
mm-hmm,
because it was a guy that woke up and everything was just off in his world.
mm-hmm.
And come to find out, and then the thing he noticed was every day was the same day. And he ends up going going under the city. There's tunnels under the city, and he goes down there and he finds all this control stuff. And he goes to the edge of town, kind of like in the Truman Show,
Mm-hmm.
and he meets up, and there's a giant there. And kind of find out he's a robot. He's microscopic. He's real small, and that's exactly how it was in that Fantastic Four issue. Anyway, I listened to that today.
Hmm.
That was interesting, but it's not a real famous story, so But other than the John Byrne connection, people claiming that he ripped it off. Of course, him claiming he'd never heard of it.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned Twilight Zone and how influential that was on, generations, basically, two or three generations that saw them, have seen almost all of them. James Cameron said that, Harlan Ellison can sue me, but, I never saw the Outer Limits he's talking about. And, he's Canadian. Maybe he never saw it. But I would imagine a certain generation saw every one of those Outer Limits. And, especially a kid like James Cameron. But
Yeah.
that's interesting. The movies that made me have a one on aliens.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it's hard to think about how hard something actually is that from the outside it's like, well, yeah, he made Terminator, he's gonna walk right into aliens and rule. He had the hardest time making Aliens because he was in England, and they
Oh,
right
yeah.
away just hated him.
Oh,
He worked too hard. He came from Roger Corman,
Oh, yeah.
where they're
Yeah.
getting 1,000,000 shots a day, and it's like, what are you talking about? We got to have our tea, and it's like if it hadn't been for, I guess it's Catherine Bigelow, or is it Gail Ann Hurd? Now, see, now I don't know, but it's
Yeah.
one of those two that he eventually, I think, married, and I think that's Gail Ann Hurd. Uh, she was absolutely essential to making that movie happen because it was a goner the way the crew was behaving. You know, they weren't going to make that movie. They were going to have to fold their tent if they didn't start acting like they cared about working for the director they were working for.
Well, that sucks.
Yeah. You know, you think, you know, he convinced a few people by them seeing the Terminator, saying, "Yeah, you got some talent." But it's weird, you know, because the aliens goes on, it explodes, and everybody, I think, treats Cameron like, "Oh yeah, this guy was obviously going to be a big deal." But that's not the case. You know, you never stop convincing people in Hollywood you got the stuff still.
Oh yeah, look at the Wachowskis.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
you're just a couple bombs away and you would think the Matrix would have set them up for life.
Oh yeah.
But
well, it did.
It did in one aspect for sure, but they still, I mean, had a lot of trouble after some, you know.
Yeah. You gotta still pitch somebody and say, "Hey, green light this."
You got to convince them you're not a fluke, man.
Yeah, turn the money back on.
Yeah, turn on that spigot.
Yeah.
The oligarchs need their money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's one thing. I haven't watched
all better.
of it. Who? Are you talking to who?
You.
Oh, do I feel better?
Does this look better?
Oh, okay. I was mystified. Oh, I feel fine. Yes, it looks better. It looks better. Oh, yeah, a lot better. Yeah, I mean, now I'm interested.
Yeah, I am too.
Okay. And always remember that criticism. Like I say, see, I highly value my critiques.
Yeah, boy, that's the truth.
Yeah, that's right. But we're all that way. We all think, oh, well.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, God. All I do all day is like tell people how to. I tell people that are doing. Oh, that's my job. I tell people that are doing things that I cannot possibly do. Yeah, no, look at that. Did you look at this?
Yeah.
No, I'm always nice about it, but I have. It's funny because they've realized that even though I'm not a sculptor, I'm not a 3D modeler, I can look at something and tell you, boy, we really we did something the other day and it's gonna go out the door. And I was like, man, this could have looked a lot. I was very disappointed because it's just like, on the back end, we just missed the mark, I thought, you know, but it would be and it was tight deadlined, and it's like,
we're talking about appeal. You know what I mean? Did it have as much appeal as it could have?
And you know, sometimes you have to get buy-in, and sometimes, you know, people. I mean, I had a guy this week, one of my employees, that would literally. I went to the next room and I was talking to a girl that knew him from college, and I go, "Is he going to stomp his feet next?" And she laughed because he was just mad because he had to redo something. And I mean, I get it. No one, and he sent me a text later.
It's how much energy you put into anything, and you're working in that realm of your head where you think nobody could possibly want to do this in any other way. And man, in games, there is nothing that has this syndrome more on it. You work and work thinking like, oh, I get it. And then someone comes along and it's very obvious they don't think you get it. They don't think you get it. And that'll run your day.
Well, and the problem with this guy's work is it went south, and he tried to patch it rather than just, okay, I got to start over. And it's like he probably spent more time patching it than he would have if he had done it.
Yeah. Oh no, that
correctly
happens all the time.
And so my challenge is, I mean, I you know, I have a group of creative people of all stripes that I have to keep. You know, I got to be kind of the cheerleader, and I got to crack the whip, and I got to do all the, you know, and I guess I'm doing okay. Everyone seems to like me, and my boss seems to like me today.
Well, you're not doing okay then. If you're the boss and everybody likes you, you're obviously falling short.
I'm obviously, if they like me, I'm obviously doing something wrong.
Yeah.
My wife is convinced that all my employees just hate me.
Well, you know, everybody's got that personal, true view of everybody that they have to deal with in the work environment.
Yeah.
Man, it was, and what's, you know, what's sad is the people you think you get along with great that obviously like you. You know, you may find out they didn't really like me, did they?
They didn't like me. I've had a few surprises like that. I had a meeting this week with a guy that I had kind of butted heads with a few years ago, and I feel like I went into the meeting, and he's a guy that kind of is like, you have to do things a certain way. And I balked against that. And it has nothing to do with art. It's just how the art gets distributed through the company, and we do it a certain way, and he didn't like it, and so we butted heads that way a little bit, and we've been in some tense meetings, and so he set up a meeting with me this week, and there's a few other people in the meeting, so we were talking, and I forget exactly how I worded it. Basically, I said, look, I know I won't say his name. I know I drive Joe crazy, but I honestly, I'm trying to play fair, and I apologize. and it immediately, by me just admitting that I knew I was a pain in the neck, immediately the tone, everybody kind of laughed, and the tone changed, and they actually gave me every concession that I wanted. So it was great. The meeting went great, but today, did I tell you what I did today?
What'd you do today? Other than you realize we've been talking for an hour and 17 minutes. We must have enjoyed ourselves. Go ahead.
I went. So last 2 days, or yesterday, I worked from home because of the weather. Today they opened the plant late, so I started off working from home, and I went. I had to go in because a guy in production called me. All these people know my cell phone now, but he called me, and there were some sculptures that were broken. I had to go in, and I actually fix sculptures today. I had to patch them and glue pieces together.
What kind of glue do you
paint
use?
them. I use straight up super glue.
Okay,
this was
glue.
What? No, it was just straight up super glue.
Okay.
And we have an accelerant that we spray. It's probably why I'm coughing. I spent most of my afternoon fixing sculptures today. I put a video on my Facebook page because I'm trying to find a mold maker. I think I have a guy, but I don't know if we'll pay him what he wants to make. But anyway, I need to find a mold maker, and we can train, but it needs to be somebody that has some hand skills for they have to be able to build boxes for the molds. They need a little bit of light construction. They need to be able to look at stuff, and they paint and some of that stuff. We'll show them how to do all this stuff, but just they need to have there's some people just can't do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
What I've been telling people is if you can build a plastic model kit, then you probably have all the skills that we would need. Aside from can you operate a bandsaw and a drill and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a bandsaw, not a table saw.
Yeah, it's a bandsaw that we use to cut molds or cut the boxes for the molds. That Batman looks great, man.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I've got how many Batmans did I do today?
You did a couple.
Looks like I'm up to 6.
Really?
See all my Batmans?
Yeah, and that one is actually foreshortened, like you told me to do.
Yeah. Well, I got a little 2D a couple times, and after I told you that, it's like,
yeah,
physician, heal thyself, kind of thing.
Exactly. Well, we all could use a little more Rich Buckler in our lives.
Yeah.
For sure. Anyway, okay, Ellis, I'm gonna let you go. When it warms up, we'll have to go next warm Friday. I'm going downtown with or without you.
It's getting warm plenty quick.
Next week's supposed to be nice.
Next week's translate this guy, Kurt Robinson, before we go. What does this mean? VUM.NGO. Maybe that's his website or something, and it's just spam. I don't know. But NGO typically means non-government agency. Non-government organization. Okay, Scott. We'll end this broadcast on that mystery.
Yes, it's a riddle wrapped in an enigma.
Yeah,
wrapped in a mystery.
Yeah.